Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Lockheed Martin. This was a stock analysis request from one of the followers, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I'll most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And in the case of this chart, we are overall dealing with a quite bullish structure, and in this initial push to the upside, this initial movement, I actually have many scenarios available. I could count this as a singular 1-2 setup, I could count it as a large series of 1-2 setups. Doesn't matter exactly, because our concern remains this internal movement to the upside, which is the large wave tree. Yeah, this is the most important structure to be tracked until it is actually full. And within it, I'm tracking an internal 1-2 setup in this area and a third wave that I would suspect that might still be ongoing. At this point, within this structure, we may be able to build still another movement to the upside before we should consider a count to be more clearly full, and even then, extensions could still be possible. We would still need to wait for a larger correction to give us a hint, for a larger structure to give us a hint that a more significant top may be in place, and a very large correction in a wave 4 may follow. But at this point, this has not happened, and based on the latest developments, the latest structures within this area, I am able to actually track continuation higher. Now, if we have actually formed a more significant top, we do have the ability to consider a top in place. Within certain counts, we may be able to allow a third wave top to be in place, and in that case we would be watching the area of support between the $365.5 all the way down to the $202 level. As long as we hold here the 50% retracement, we are still looking for continuation higher, although if we are to be within a larger wave 4 correction, I would expect at least to get to the area of support. At this point, if we continue higher, I would not consider this would be a wave 4 correction and that we would be following here in a fifth wave. I would still expect this to be part of an internal wave 3 to the upside. With that said, in my preferred count for continuation higher, I am tracking still an internal movement within this fifth wave where I am tracking an ending diagonal. In such a case, I would consider that we have formed a more significant top within wave 1 here, a wave 2 would have bottomed here, possibly even here to be honest, and then a third wave would have emerged from there. After the third wave has formed a more significant top, we would be tracking a wave 4 correction into the area from the $530 level all the way down to the $412 level, down to the 61.8% retracement. And to be honest, this is actually quite a difficult structure. This is a difficult count to be tracking because we don't have a clear 5-wave move to the upside within this area. I need to be tracking this A, B, C movement within the wave 3, with the wave B having a bottom here. This would have been a large A, B, C movement, something like this, where the wave C would have only started here. It is quite a choppy movement, quite a difficult count to be tracking, and even then, it might not be the solution, it might not be what ends up playing. We might not get here the fifth wave to the upside, but as long as we actually hold the last swing low in this wave 4, we can still continue to look for a potential fifth wave to the upside, although it would only be within a larger ABC movement. That is what I would be tracking, not a larger 5-wave move to the upside, only an ABC structure, as within the larger wave 5, I am tracking an ending diagonal. Now, with that said, we do still need to break some resistance levels before we have an even more clear signal that we have indeed formed a bottom within this wave 4. We have already ended up into the last level of the support area, and we did hold, we did create quite a nice reaction to the upside, and it's moving quite nicely along with the other defense companies like Kratos, and we should also do an update for that very soon, so keep tuned. But within this area, for resistance, I'm watching here the levels between the $480 all the way up to the $567 level. As long as we stay below the 78.6% retracement, there is still some risk that this structure could actually extend lower. Now, the thing is, within this pattern to the downside, I may actually be able to track an initial 5-wave move down, in even more than one ways, to be honest. I could be tracking this as a 1, 2, 3rd, 4th, and a 5th, this as a WXY structure, in which case a top may come sooner rather than later, although I wouldn't necessarily get too much into the details, and right now we would still have an area of support we can track for direct continuation higher. Although within this internal movement to the upside, from the actual low, I wouldn't necessarily consider this initial push a 5-wave move to the upside, which is a bit concerning. It is making the reliability, the clearness of this overall structure, quite muddy, because then I would actually need to be tracking this as an ABC movement or even a 1-2 setup, but only in the case where we would be tracking internally here an ABC structure within a larger wave A of an even larger wave 3 to the upside. In the end, this is what I would like to see if we are to extend higher. I would like to see this unfold as an ABC movement to form a larger wave 3, where this would be maybe an even larger wave A to the upside. We might not get such a movement, we might get only an internal ABC to form a marginally higher high and form a top sooner rather than later, but right now we don't necessarily have enough data to get a good estimation, a good guess on how this may end up playing. And for that we will need to be tracking the internal structure, and within this area I am focusing specifically on this movement to the upside, where I would like to see something like an ABC movement unfold, and this is mostly because within this structure we have had quite a sharp correction to the downside, which doesn't necessarily allow us to continue to track a potential impulse within this area. In such a case, I would need to consider that this is a wave A, as this is quite nicely working out as a 5-wave move to the upside. I would consider this a wave B correction, and then I would be tracking an ending diagonal within this wave C. A series of 1-2 setups could still technically work out, even something like this 1-2, and then here another 1-2, 1-2, and a 1-2 here could still work out, but I may need to consider that a more significant top within a wave C is already in place, in which case we would need to be tracking a larger ABC movement. This is not a reliable structure to be tracking for a trade setup, unfortunately, and we would need to wait for the correction to actually unfold in the wave B and then find the initial 5-wave move to the upside for a wave 1 to follow within the larger wave C to the upside. That is a potential to look for a trade setup in the wave 2 correction in this area, but until such is the case, we would need to actually be patient. And in this area, we can still track continuation higher, but unless we manage to form direct continuation from this very, very tiny time frame, I wouldn't be looking at this as a high probability trade setup. I wouldn't even be looking for a position unless we actually manage to form a direct extension higher. We may be looking for a different count, something that could still work out within a larger impulse, where then again, we may find afterwards potential areas of support and potential trade setups. But as of right now, I am looking either for continuation from above the $520 level. A week below it is not a problem, but if we break below the 78.6% retracement, I would be prepared for quite a large correction. Possibly even something for a large wave B that would not be able to be used as a reliable trade setup, and I would be prepared for a correction into the levels between the $500 level all the way down to the $458 level instead. And again, it's not going to be a reliable trade setup. It's going to be used either for a signal that a larger breakdown may occur and we may have a more significant top within the wave B, or for tracking the potential reversal in the initial 5-wave move to the upside, where the follow-up correction in 3 waves may be actually used. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.